Hey guys, it's Nolan from Trade and Train. Hope you're good. Okay, let's have a little look at the markets. And yeah, the market's in panic mode. So the market's in always in a risk on or a risk off sentiment, and it's risk off at the moment. Okay, there's a lot of news obviously around COVID and that second wave that's really hitting the world, globally. But especially here in the UK, the number of cases just seems to increase. I read a headline about the number of infections is doubling every 9 days. So very, very scary thought. And, in times of panic, we see the market going to risk off, and we see the risk assets sell off. So risk assets are, Aussie dollar, Kiwi dollar, CAD. We're actually seeing the money being transferred into the dollar, the US dollar, and the Japanese yen. So right at this moment in time, those two, dollar and US dollar and Japanese yen, are what you should be looking to buy and looking to sell. Okay, looking to sell Aussie dollar, Kiwi dollar, Canadian dollar. So you could look to sell, Aussie USD or Aussie yen, Kiwi dollar, Kiwi yen, look to sell those. We're also seeing gold sell off and silver, so we'll have a look at those charts as well, but we were actually predicting that. So, if you've been following our analysis, we've been looking at some dollar strength for a while now, and we're actually getting it, and we're really getting it today. We've seen a nice break of this descending trend line on the H4 on the 4-hour chart, and today's just been really crazy. The money's just flowing into that US dollar, so looks a little bit overextended to me at the moment. So don't jump in quite yet. I'd be looking for a pullback. A lot of things retail traders do wrong is they jump into a move when it's far too late in the move. Okay, because if you start jumping into this now and then it pulls back as a correction, because it all corrects at some point, you'll be thinking, okay, this is you'll be thinking, I've just got in this trade and it's going against me already. Well, that's because you're getting into the trade a lot too late in the move. So when we have impulses, we have corrections. So we have an impulse here, look, we have a correction, we have an impulse, little correction, impulse, little correction. So you're going to need to be looking for these corrections to get into your trades. So where could this pull back to? Well, we've got a level here. Okay, previous swing high and now broken. Price could come back into this zone here, retest, and then we see buyers. We also have this swing high here, where price can have a little bit of a deeper pullback and then go. So you're going to have to look at price, okay, and judge, okay, what's happening. Look for price to come into this zone first, and then do we see buyers come in? Or do we actually see price come all the way down here, and then we see buyers come in? So this is still moving at the moment. What I would normally do as well is draw a fib from the swing low to the swing high, or the start of the impulse to the end of the impulse. This is actually still moving, so can't technically put a fib on this until the impulse has finished. But I'd just like to see, I look for I like to see a 50% retracement or a 61.8. So anywhere back at this level, assuming that this was the top of the impulse, and we don't know that it is, but anywhere between that 50 and the 61.8, well, is that level there, isn't it? So we could see price pull back into this level, but we will be monitoring price and watching what happens with price to give us an idea of when we should be going long again on the US dollar. So we do see this continuing to the upside. Remember, we do have the US elections on the 3rd of November. So the closer we get to that, we might see, some volatility on the US dollar, especially with these polls that come out. Not that the polls are always reliable, but at the moment looking at a Biden win, but I think on the last election, don't think Trump was looking to win by the way the polls were looking, and then it surprised the market. So who knows what's going to happen. So if you're looking to buy USD, you'd be looking to sell Euro USD. Nice break of the trend line here. Are we going to come back and potentially retest this swing low here? Also, we've got the big number 1.17, just about there. You know, the market likes to test big numbers because they're psychological numbers. So you might see price come back and test 1.17 before we see those sellers come in again. Okay. Again, this looks a little bit overextended. We'll be looking for a correction to take place to get into the market. Okay. The market just doesn't move in straight lines. There's, you know, they've got an impulse here, a correction, impulse, correction, impulse, correction, impulse, correction. Okay, make sure you're waiting for a correction and then a resumption of the price action to get into these trades. Don't just, you know, buy and sell because that's the way it's going. Okay, that's not the way to do it. So this swing low here, or 1.17, you know, it's literally 7 pips away from this low here. I'd be watching that zone there for price to come into and reject. Swissy is also moving nicely as well. You can clearly see this break of the trend line now. Okay, we've come into this swing high here. Price has started to slow down just a little bit. So I'll be looking for price to come and potentially pull back as well. Maybe it'll pull back to this high here. So I'll be looking for that pullback to somewhere around that level there. Ideally. And then look to be buying. So Swissy's moving really, really nicely as well. You know, so this is the kind of ideal situation, price to come back into this zone, which was the previous swing high. So resistance, will it become support? And then look to be buying from there. In when the market's in a risk-off sentiment, you would be looking to trade Aussie yen, and you'd actually be looking to sell Aussie yen when it's risk-off. When the market sentiment is risk-on, you'd be looking to buy Aussie yen. So, like I say, we're seeing the money flow into the US dollar and the Japanese yen, and we're seeing the risk currencies sell off. So, if the risk currencies are selling off, Aussie is a risk currency. Looking to sell Aussie, money's flowing into the yen, so we're looking to buy yen. So you'd look to sell Aussie yen. We've got a nice level here, swing low here. There's also a swing low at this point here. Can you see again? It's that big number, isn't it? 74. So potentially look for Aussie yen to come back and test 74, and then look for sellers to come in. You know, this is in the ideal kind of world. This is what ideally, technically, we'd be looking for. Market doesn't always do what we want it to do, but you know, technically this would be a great level for price to come into and a great level to sell from, but only if we see those sellers come in. So look at 74 on Aussie yen to be tested and for sellers to come in. Euro dollar, I'll be looking at anywhere around that 1.17 level for price to come and test and sellers to come in there as well. Let's have a look at gold and silver, because we are seeing those sell off, but we were expecting that. But roundabouts in November, say from the middle of November to the end of November, we normally see the precious metals increase in value. So for now, we're looking to short gold and silver, but we will be looking to buy closer to the middle to the end of November, and looking to hold those positions over the rest of the year. So gold, we've been waiting for gold to break out of this little structure for a while now. It has. We had a nice impulse, a little correction of the impulse. You'll be looking for, you know, again, another correction on the smaller time frame. Targets are potentially this low this bottom of the structure for a third touch. But the market doesn't necessarily have to do that. We might see the market come into these lows again. But I would like to think that the market would come down and break this low and keep in line with this structure here before we see those buyers come in. Silver, very similar. We've had an impulse, a correction, and looking for the next impulse down, which has started. If you can see here, impulse, correction, bearish flag, and we've started to break to the downside. Now, ideally this would come down to roundabouts that big number 20, which is the previous swing high here, and then we'd be looking for a buying opportunity from there. Now, we don't know whether it will come down to 20, but that would be brilliant if it does. So right at this moment in time, we're only looking to sell silver. Okay, we can see that movement has started to the downside, getting a little bit of a correction now. Let me just put some moving averages on here. Take that 200 moving average off. Let's have a look at the 4 hour. So let's tidy up this trend line as well. This could be a nice little area to look for a sell for silver. This little swing low here, it's tested it once. It might come up and test it again. So if price comes back into this 23.661 level, look for sellers to come in there. The alternative is it might push up just a little bit higher into this 20 EMA, or in between the 50 and the 20. But we are seeing definitely we've got a high, lower high, low, lower low. So looking for this to pull back again to form the next lower high. Okay, then looking to sell, then that could be a really nice move. Okay, we think, you know, in the best case scenario, coming down to $20, but you know, I'd at least expect it to come down and test this low again. So that's euro dollar sells, Aussie yen sells. You know, look to sell those risk currencies, which are Aussie dollar, Kiwi dollar, Canadian dollar. Look to be buying USD. Look to be buying JPY, Japanese yen, and look to be selling gold and silver, all on pullbacks. Okay, look for the price action. Okay, guys, hopefully you're all members of our free Telegram channel, because we do put lots and lots of free information in there. So if you're not, then don't worry, I'll put the link in the description. And yeah, get signed up to that, and look out for lots and lots of free information. And look out for our next video, which should be tomorrow. And have a great rest of your evening, and please trade safe. The markets are a little bit wild, so you know, just be a little bit careful. Look for those pullbacks. Don't just go into the trades without your analysis. Alright guys, so from me, Nolan, and the Trade and Train team, I'll wish you a good evening, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.